What is your promise? Why are you in business? How do you expect to grow?
This is The Hook, a show focused on branding, marketing, and business development.
You brand to inspire, not to sell.
Jason Arsmont, the marketing maverick, gives expertise to business owners, serial entrepreneurs, and anyone interested in building a stronger company brand.
Creating a brand is like telling a story. You've got one shot to say it all.
When your marketing works, you've got them on the hook.
It's amazing. They actually let us back in the building. You're listening to The Hook, the first ever show incorporating marketing and branding, brought to you by The Work Lodge, a business solution for your everyday company needs that can increase your presence and your return on investment. My name is Josh Reno. I'm a marketing strategist, and, well, sometimes I just do everything. I design. Did you know that, Jason?
I did not know you did design.
I don't really design.
Wow, good.
Jorge and Bree actually do all the designing for us.
That's good to hear.
But I work for Brightbox Brand Marketing, and this is my boss, the CEO of Brightbox, and the marketing maverick, Jason Arsmont.
Thank you, Josh.
Busy day today because we got Halloween going down.
This is it.
Which,
spooky night tonight, right?
This means that every CVS and Walgreens at the stroke of midnight
out of candy.
No. What they do is they have to mark it down. All the Halloween candy, they have to mark that down.
Oh, yeah. That means tomorrow's game on.
Tomorrow is all about Christmas. Although I went to Home Depot the other day and they already have the Christmas stuff out.
So, wow. Man, it's going quick. Well, this has been an unbelievable week this week. Had the opportunity of was a guest speaker at TEDx. You know, they're in Tomball. They had a series. It was something I've always wanted to do. You know, part of being on the Inc. 500 list was one of the big goals. Being a TEDx presenter was a big goal of mine. We've signed on a couple new accounts. I mean, this has just been a great week. And then today on the show, we've got Mr. Tony Vallone himself.
So isn't he the Houston restaurateur?
That's it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's basically an icon. I mean, Tony's the restaurant has been around for almost 50 years, if not 50 years this year, I think.
50
years. So he's going to talk with us about how he's been able to maintain staying at the top of his game for all those years.
That's somebody that started doing it when they were 5.
Well, we'll see. We're going to find out. Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting because one of the things to stay at the top of your game like that for that long is to continue to have this drive. You know, I know we even talked about it a little bit last week where it's like so busy, like we got so much stuff going on. How do we maintain? How do we keep pushing forward? And, you know, I think it's just, I've seen throughout the years so many times people falling to complacency. You know, they get up there, they start having success, and then all of a sudden they get comfortable. Maybe it's this desire to want to sit back and kind of, you know, vast in what they've built or, you know, relish in some of the securities that they might have, which are temporary, that they start kind of taking their foot off the pedal and they start, you know, sitting back and watching rather than staying engaged and pushing constantly.
That, to me, is a good example identified by the MySpace and Facebook phenomenon. MySpace was basically the first in the space.
Yep.
They were the first ones that did real social media, and they
thought they owned it, you know?
Exactly. They thought they owned it. They were it. And honestly, in the beginning, they were very legit. I thought there's no way that I would get on Facebook ever because Facebook didn't make sense for me. It was very boring, and it was very basic, and the layout I didn't like, and then a lot of my friends said, hey, Facebook, we're not doing MySpace. We won't even get on there.
Yeah.
And now I jumped on. When's the last time you ever went to your MySpace page? Is it still up?
No, I think it's a big still in like the music scene. So I think it's still up. But you're right. It's a great example of they got to the top and they kind of sat back and like, we own this space. And they just allowed for somebody new, more aggressive and very forward thinking to come in with just a different approach to how they were doing it, make it more relevant. And that's what Facebook did.
Did you even realize that about 2 or 3 years ago, Justin Timberlake bought part of MySpace so he thought that he was going to be able to revitalize it because everything that Justin Timberlake has touched has turned to gold, pretty much.
Except MySpace. And I don't know, maybe they do well in the music industry. I know like a lot of bands will go put their band profiles. I'm not 100% certain. So maybe to some extent it is still successful, but it's nothing compared to what it was or compared to Facebook at all. Yeah.
Bands that haven't been signed, it's a good idea for them because they're able to showcase their music without building a website. It's a low-cost way for them to get their music out there and spread it without having to pay a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So that's an easier
well,
way.
that being able to keep your foot on the pedal. I know I've been able to achieve so much, so many of my goals. From starting multiple companies, I've been able to sell a few. I've been able to raise some money. I've started some of those with nothing. I've ranked several of these companies on the Inc. 500 list of fastest growing companies in the United States. Heck, I've run across Texas, ranking on the top 10 on endurance athletes as far as consecutive marathons ran. I mean, the list goes on. And the only reason why I've been able to do that is because at none of these milestones did I ever think and sit back and say, man, I made it. I feel good. And maybe for a couple minutes, but then it's on to the next thing. It's on to the next goal, the next accomplishment. It's looking at the big picture. I talk a lot about this in my book I wrote last year called Your Spot on the Mountain. You can go check that out at Amazon if you care. It's a good book, a good read about personal goal setting in the professional and in your personal life.
This is what's funny. Whenever you were running last October, which you were just about wrapping it up about this time last year. So from October 1st to October 30th, should have been 31st, but October 30th, you were running across Texas.
That's right.
Over a marathon a day for 30 days straight. And I call you while you're on the road. I said, look, we have a brand analysis that we have to do on a Friday on Halloween. And you said, I don't think I'm going to be done.
I'm scheduled to do the last bit of my run that day.
And I said, you got a week to do it. I think it was a week and a half at that point. I said, you got to make up some ground because you have to be at that meeting. We hadn't seen you in a month.
That's right. So the 30 miles a day I was already running wasn't enough. To make this meeting, we piled on another, I think it was like a mile and a half a day I had to add to that just to make it done, get the finish line on the 30th.
And the 31st, you were there with us, and that was Bel Air Dermatology,
That's right.
who we did a ton of stuff for and rebranded. And
unbelievable,
you came into that meeting, I remember just looking so gruff.
Emaciated.
Yes, emaciated. I'm like...
Yeah.
Maybe I should have just let him run it out. I don't know.
It's so interesting because yesterday, so I'm doing the TEDx talk, and I talk about the run, and it's just funny that I ended up finishing a day early, and then the day of the TEDx talk was October 30th, yesterday, right? So there I am on the 1-year anniversary of the finish line, giving a talk, on TED platform about the run. It was just really neat how it all came back together, and for that 1-year anniversary was really, really something cool and special.
And an announcement that he's going to be doing it again. No, you're not going to do that again, are you?
I'm not the run. No, I'm not doing the run again. I'm done doing those consecutive marathons. Man, that took a toll on my body. I'm still recovering mentally.
So now what do you think for you? You've written the books. You've done the run. You've done so much to keep yourself moving forward and always busy. What's in your mind for something to do next?
Well, that's a good question. A big part of that is this show. I mean, I've proven to myself that time and time again over, 6, 7 companies, I can start them up. I can make money. So I have confidence in that. I have the formula, for success in that environment. So I'm not worried about financially how am I going to make it. What I'm worried about is touching more people. And we're going to talk a little bit about this in our upcoming segment. How can I reach more people and share with them the advice, the setbacks and the mistakes that I've made, as well as some of the success and some of that formula, what it really takes to be successful. And so that's a big reason for why I wanted to start this show, was giving back and letting people come up behind me with the knowledge and the resources and being able to network and connect folks.
And don't forget, you're listening to The Hook with Jason Arsmont, the marketing maverick, and me, Josh Reno. And we're always on the website, all our past shows at least.
Yep.
thehookradio.com. You can check out the podcast. We've had some fantastic guests on the show, and you can catch up on everything we've done. If you ever have a question or want to sign up for the newsletter, it's all at thehookradio.com.
Absolutely. Check it out. It gets me thinking. You asked what's in store for me, and I kind of sum it up in this way, that there's 3 types of successful people, especially business owners, right? You've got the one guy or gal that goes out there and builds a company and they get past the 2-3 year mark. They're successful. This is normally a sales guy that does fairly well. All of a sudden he looks up, he's got a company, things are going well, but really in the back of his mind, he really has no clue how they got there. And so they defend their position, they defend their company really by being a tyrant. I've worked for guys like this and gals like this. I'm sure some of our listeners have. They are very hostile. They don't have a happy work environment. They'll go after employees who leave there and challenge them and sue employees as they go on to do their dreams. And I say that these people don't know how they got there, because I don't know why in the world else you would run a company that way. If you've already become successful, why would you not try to help the next group of people to come up. And so the only thing I can come up with is that that person is unsure on how they got there, and so they try to hang on to it with everything. It's kind of like I always give out tips, and people are like, man, aren't you worried your competition is going to hear about this? No, I'm not really worried, because it's the application of it, and if you're a successful and you're a confident business person that's received some success, you should be just as confident that if your employees or other people around you want to go out, that you're going to do just as good. So the second group is the guy that goes out there and they get complacent, they sit back, and they start losing motivation. They can't get re-engaged with the company. And then finally, the last one is the guy that understands the formula. And again, whether the economy goes up or down, they can make the most of themselves professionally, continue to create opportunity, money, jobs, security.
The opportunity is always there. It's kind of how you think about it, too, because there's so many people that are inside that box that don't want to step outside and try new things. Those are the number two. I mean, those are the ones that are complacent, and then number one can fall in that, too. All right, stick around. We got more coming up next on The Hook. We are The Hook. Well, that's the name of the show, at least. My name is Josh Reno, along with Jason Arsmont, the Marketing Maverick. And right now, what we do in our second segment is our brand review segment. And this segment, we're talking about gallery furniture.
Absolutely.
Now, what you and I talked about off the air was our first experience with gallery furniture. Well, maybe not my first or your first, but the one that we have in our mind, the one that stands out the most, because everybody, it seems, has had a moment or maybe an experience with gallery furniture. So
yeah, absolutely.
Can I
mean,
go
they're
first?
so active from a marketing standpoint that everybody's been touched at some level, from whether it's a billboard, a commercial, radio, TV, going in the store, or whatever. And by the expression, I'm very interested in it. Go ahead, Billy. You can go.
Call on me. Me first. Me first. Now, I've worked with gallery furniture for years, because gallery furniture, they're very, very active in radio.
That's right.
Not only in radio, though, they're very active. Billboards you see everywhere. They do TV. I mean, whenever I hear people on different shows, whether it's radio shows or people doing stand-up comedy, because I've heard that too, or even someone that is doing a podcast and they talk about Mattress Mac, people know who he is because he's done so much and been so active marketing and advertising.
Yep.
I mean, if anybody knows what the secret to the success is, it's got to be him. They know the equation, or
at least for marketing, right? And we talked about that last week. Go check that podcast out. It's all about activity.
So the first time I went into the store, gallery furniture, because you hear about it for so long, it's almost like a legend. It's a myth. What happens at gallery furniture? And the first thing is that you see the huge table, the big Texas-sized table, which is very cool.
And you're talking about the one out 45. That's okay.
Yeah. So the one in 45, I walk in, and there's Jim. There's Mattress Mac right there behind the counter. And I'm like, what is he doing here?
Is this like an off day? Or
what exactly is happening? Why is he there? And then I find out he's there every day.
He lives there, right? Yeah.
Pretty much lives there.
Yep.
So Mattress Mac is a guy that not only is very active whenever he's doing his marketing and whenever he's doing advertising, but he's active in the store.
Yeah.
Always on site, always pushing,
talk about
answering questions.
On.
Absolutely.
This guy is one heck of a hands-on guy. And that's a great model, and I think there's a lot to learn from that. So I encourage you, other business owners, entrepreneurs, marketing folks, to go take a look at strategically what it is they do. If you go through the store, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, if you look at their marketing program, take a hard look at what it is they're doing, because there's pieces of so much of what this company does that we can take away to help help our own companies.
It's an experience. You walk in there, you have somewhere to eat. There's stuff to do. The kids can come with you.
Yep.
It's like going to the zoo almost, except there's air conditioner and it's a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, in some cases there are animals there. So let's start with the website.
Okay.
Right? That's kind of where we always start these brand reviews. And I'll tell you, they redid their brand a couple years back now, and I just love this extremely clean, modern approach. I think before he was really loud. It was red, white, and blue, fireworks exploding everywhere, and that was even kind of how the logo, the big sign off 45, I think is still that one. But I love this new look, this approach that they're coming, very clean, modern, confident in their approach and their position in the Houston marketplace. The only thing I would say is with this new logo, for me, it might be a little light. It might be a little thin. But I like it overall. I think it plays up really well, especially for the website here. What I like about the website is that there are so many options. Like, they categorize all of the products right up on the main navigation. So many times you'll go to a website and before they give you any of the information about the products, they're telling you about them, about Mattress Mac. And you can find all that stuff if you drill down into the site. But I love how right across the top navigation, they put all the categories up there from, bedding to sleepers to couches to office furniture. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then they categorize it all, and you can buy all this stuff right off their website. Now, for those of you who don't build websites or don't have a large retail store, This is a nightmare. I would love to get my hands on the inside of their database of what they're doing to see exactly how they categorize and they know what's in inventory and what's not. I mean, it's got to be one heck of a powerful system because this is a monster website.
We had a conversation recently, somebody that wanted to do that categorization where you do the drop down and then it selects other things, and we can do it, no doubt. And for us, it's easy because it's a luxury for us to be able to give this to a client, this capability. For our developer, he's not real happy whenever he sees that. I'm sure it takes a lot of work, and so it takes. I mean, he gets it done and does a fantastic job. But whenever you see that in the beginning, it's like, how many items are there?
Yeah, and then you got to keep up from the warehouse to what's on the show floor to what's available online. If they buy it and you don't have it, now you got a pissed off customer. So I just think that's a phenomenal job. I'm sure they're doing extremely well on that. The other thing I like was, because you can buy everything right there, it truly meets the checkbox for being an experience. You talked about that before already, that it's a real experience to go to the store. Well, I think the website captures that as well. And I love the fact that they own Made in America. It's all over the website, but the website's not red, white, and blue. He didn't have to get crazy showing you flags and being uber, conservative with, all the red, white, and blue colors. They mention it. It's very effective. You soak it up, and they don't go overboard with the graphics and visually how that comes across. So I really like that. Good job on the website there. You're listening to The Hook. This is Jason Arsamont and Josh Reno. This segment is brought to you by ShadowboxTalent.com. Our friends over at Shadowbox Talent is full-service HR outsourcing group, staffing, recruiting, payroll processing.
And they hired me.
They hired you, so they must be the gold standard, right?
Exactly.
All right, well, we're going through our brand review here of Gallery Furniture. We just talked about the website. So let's talk about when we pulled up. You had a couple notes there already just about the sheer size of what they're doing. I mean, the investment in the location, the stores themselves are unbelievable.
Gargantuan.
Yeah. And that is no mistake. That's by design. They've really put a lot of money to look like a national franchise, put the money into the stores, into the experience of shopping. It's unbelievable.
How many other furniture stores have tried to emulate the look on the outside with the color and tried to do the same thing, thinking that they would get the same results and haven't?
Well, because they don't do the whole rest of the recipe. We talk about there's a formula for success. You have to plug in all the pieces of the formula. It's trying to like baking a cake without, the butter. It doesn't come together right. You have all the ingredients but the butter. So if you don't do the marketing, you don't do the billboards, you don't do the store location, you don't do the customer service, if you don't do all of these parts, the formula doesn't add up. I think one of the biggest testaments to how well he's done that with the location are all the other furniture stores that have popped up right around him. I mean, it's like, especially off of 45, it's like Furniture Row. Yeah. I mean, all these other little guys are trying to get a piece off of the traffic, the natural traffic that he's generating. It's just unbelievable. Absolutely did a phenomenal job of converting the brand experience from the website to the storefront. The logos are huge. You can see it from, I don't know about miles because 45 is a little tough to see.
You're right.
But does a really, really good job. So once you pull up, you get up there, immediately walk in the doors. You're seeing gigantic furniture. I think they have those tall chairs you talked about. I don't know if they're still there, but right away they're trying to make an impression that they are something to remember, an experience that you'll remember. The staff is extremely courteous. Like you said, Mattress Mac is normally right there by the door, if not right behind the counter when you first walk in. I mean, kudos to him for how long he's been doing that and keeping that up. We're talking about not being falling back and resting on your laurels on what you built. This guy has kept his foot on the gas for I don't know how many years now. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And that's not counting all that he does for the community, because how much he's given back to Houston, and he's got West Side Tennis Club going. There are so many different things that he's involved with. That's why everybody knows him.
Right.
The activity that he has. you think of Mattress Mac, you think hard worker, guy in a mattress costume, no back orders, and giver.
Yeah, absolutely, a giver. And all of those giving and all the campaigns that he does are extremely relevant. He's got the oil campaign going now that if oil raises above a certain price, he's going to give you your furniture for free if you come in and buy it before the end of the year. I mean, they're all like kind of current campaigns that are relevant.
And people have thought, what is he, an idiot for losing all this money?
Yeah, he did the Super Bowl one before, right? Yeah.
You know how much he got back in advertising?
Oh, come on. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. He's a marketing.
If you ever think that someone like this, like if you ever think that Jim is not smart for doing this,
or unintentional,
then you don't know the game.
Yeah, extremely strategic. What
This
he put,
guy-
what last Super Bowl was it? He said if his team wins, everybody gets their furniture for free.
Yeah.
If they don't, I'm like, is he hedging the bets in Vegas? Like, I mean, that's an unbelievable roll of the dice. But I guess that much more traffic comes in.
Either way, he wins.
Yeah.
Either
all
way.
the free advertising and press and promotion that he got, it's unbelievable. Yep, unbelievable. Jinx. Yeah. And what I also liked about the customer experience when you go and you walk through the store is that everyone seemed to be extremely knowledgeable, but they weren't overly salesy, right? They weren't like pressuring you to make a decision and buy this furniture. And I mean, just the volume of options that are available was just, it's just staggering. I mean, I know the first time I went, we had just bought the house a few years back, and we had several rooms that each needed a piece of furniture. So we're like, let's just block out a whole day. I'm going to have to go to 14 different places to try to find the pieces we want.
Miserable.
Oh, man, I hate that. Well, luckily for us, the first stop was Gallery Furniture. I had no idea to the extent of all the different things from office furniture to bedding to whatever. We found everything we needed within like 2.5 hours. It was delivered that night. We were done, man. I was so ecstatic that I didn't have to go shop around. So, what they're doing, the formula that they have and the way that they're delivering and packaging their brand is just extremely well done. Whether you're in furniture or not, there's a lot of lessons to be learned here. So listeners, go check out their website, go to their store, do a tour, start thinking about the experience from a business standpoint, not just a consumer, and start thinking about what are they doing that we could implement into our own businesses. I guarantee you'll find a gem.
Branding done right is what it is. And same-day delivery, don't forget about that.
Can't beat that. That definitely helps.
All right, coming up next, we got our business tip of the day. We're going to talk about goal setting. Jason Arsmont there, the Marketing Maverick, along with me, Josh Reno, The Hook, coming back next.
Watch this.
Thanks for tuning in to The Hook. My name is Josh Reno. Work for Brightbox Brand Marketing, and this is the guy that pays me. Jason Arsmont, the Marketing Maverick and CEO of Brightbox. You can always check us out on thehookradio.com. Our podcast is there. Newsletter, you can sign up for that. Or if you have any questions about anything we're doing or want us to talk about it, maybe something you're doing at your own business, you can always go to thehookradio.com. Right now, it's time for our business tip of the day, and it's sponsored by ontoboxtraining.com, which is, you can tell us more about that.
OntoBox Training is our corporate training group, so kind of a product of what we were doing as a marketing firm and the strategy and the business tips that we were giving clients. They started needing more and more training. Hey, Jason, can you come in and train us on social media? Can you train my sales staff? I love the sales presentation that you gave us. We'd love to have something like that for our own group. So we started putting together all of the kind of tips and things that we had used to make us successful in all of our companies over the years, and now we've packaged them up into a specific corporate training program. So check out ontoboxtraining.com if you're interested in leveraging up and giving your staff the support and sales training and general training that they need to be successful.
What about LinkedIn training? Can you do that?
Yeah, we got it. We got you covered. We did one for one of your clients.
PFP Industries. We did that a little while back. And it's not only important to have that initial training, but it's important to have the follow-up training to go along with it.
Yeah, most of our programs come with that. We'll go in and do an initial couple hours or whatever it is to train everybody, and then we'll come back like once a quarter for an hour, recap, check what everybody's doing, see if they have questions, make sure that the implementation of the training is good. Otherwise, it's just a motivational camp, right? And I could do that too. I do a lot of those motivational talks, but for the training company, we really want people to be implementing the tactics that we're sharing. So we'd love to do the follow-ups, and LinkedIn, bring it. We got it.
So we're talking about our business tip of the day. This week is goal setting.
Yeah, we were talking about all the achievements, and in our first segment, and I thought what would be good is let's take a minute and talk about goal setting, not just professionally, because this is a business show, but I really look at being a business person as so much more than just what you do with your company. At some point, each of us are going to be, older. We're going to have our grandkids on our lap, and we're going to be telling them stories about what we did and our achievements, our accomplishments. And, I'm sure I speak for most of us. We want to have some good stories that we're not just lying about, right? I mean, grandpas are supposed to have some kind of couple little benders in there that we're lying about. But for the most part, we want to have some good stories. I know I do.
I have some great stories from college that I'm going to tell my grandkids.
Can't share those, Josh.
Oh, okay.
Different kind of stories. Life lesson stories, not college days stories. And, I always kind of look at it like every day, each of us are given 1,440 minutes to make the most of. We get to decide how we spend those minutes. We get to be as productive or unproductive as we want. Well, I want to be super productive. And, I think my track record speaks for that. So I thought we'd spend just a little bit of time today talking about the areas in your life that you should be looking at. If you have a vision board, if you're a goal-focused type of a person, don't get to the end of the road and only have success financially, only have success within your business. Look at, we're going to talk about these 4 different groups or areas that you could be looking at. One of the first areas I always focus on is, to push yourself physically. Your physical limitations or your physical abilities are a big part of who we are. I think just as humans alone, we're extremely physical. And so many times in today's world, especially business, we don't get to physically get something done. It's very strategic. It's time sensitive. It's, a mental game of endurance a lot of times with business. But you don't get the opportunity to just go in there and just grit it out. And I love that about doing physical endurance, weightlifting, running, whatever it may be. Some of the most successful guys that I've met are active outside of the office. They're doing some level of fitness.
I'm a part of this group that what we do is we do a boot camp on, I know they do it on Saturday, but I only do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We meet at 5:30 in the morning at I don't know if it's an elementary or a high school. And I think whenever we did it last whenever I went on Thursday, there was 80 people there. And
wow, are you serious?
The goal in mind is that we all get together, we do this boot camp, there's fellowship afterwards, but it's also a way for everyone to get together and network.
Yeah.
So it's network. And they do a little bit more networking on Saturday, I believe, because they go and they do the boot camp, and then afterwards they go to Starbucks and they hang out and they chat, and it's coffee time for the boys to hang out there.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, going and doing fitness, whether it's, racquetball or going to the gym, I mean, I've made so many deals at the gym. Talking with other guys and gals, I always use guys as an umbrella for everyone. But talking with people at the gym or while I'm out running on the run trails, meeting people, it's led to opportunities in business and relationships. So don't think of it as just completely having unplugged professionally, but get out there and challenge yourself physically. Get some goals. Whether it's a sprint triathlon. I know Josh has done some triathlons. Mm-hmm. Or an Ironman. I mean, push yourself as high as you can. You'll be surprised. I have been able to achieve so much more in the past year after doing that run across Texas because it opened my mind to what we are truly capable of. I was able to push myself mentally and physically to do over 30 marathons in 30 days, and I realized how much more room, how much more ability I had in the rest of my life. So definitely look at your life, look at your goals, and make sure that you have some physical ones in there.
I pushed myself to drink 4 different kinds of beers the other day.
Hey, that's a goal, man.
That's not the same. I understand, but goal setting, it's important.
I think that was last Monday before work, though, man. So the other one here is helping a lot of people at once. There's, kind of a law of numbers here. Like, helping onesie twosies, I get it. I would challenge you guys to look at your goal set, look at your bucket list, and make sure there's something in there where you're going to go build a community center for a village in a country. Or, like what I did was run across Texas and raised over $200,000 worth of professional services rendered, radio airtime, and money for child sex trafficking. And the impact that had on my heart, the impact that had on me emotionally is something I'll carry with me, for the rest of my life. Probably weighs more on me than the actual run itself, the accomplishment and the notoriety of achieving the run. Knowing that I shared knowledge, I shared inspiration, I gave hope to these children, and that I raised money for an organization that I believe and I stand behind, and was just honored to be able to hand that check to, is something that you just can't take that away. I mean, it's an unbelievable achievement.
Yeah, it's got to feel good whenever you're able to hand something over like that, because it's something not only you accomplish physically, but in a monetary sense.
Yeah, the eyes light up a little bit different when you're handing people money, so it always feels good. The other one, I really would challenge. I wish that this was something that was almost mandatory. I mean, I'm not big for creating unnecessary laws, but I think everyone at some point, to some level, needs to start a business. I've had this idea forever that if we were all had to start a business, small or not, whether you put $100 in an account and you were selling something out of your trunk, or you try to start an online company or a brick and mortar, I believe that people in general, we'd have more successful businesses out there because people would realize, hey, this isn't impossible. This isn't, something that I'm not capable of achieving. We'd have more appreciative employees, and I'm not, an anti-employee guy. Like, I've got great teams, and I love my employees. I love my staff. I love what they contribute. But I feel that at times that if they were or had the experience of starting a company and seeing what it was like to deal with the money and the lawsuits that come. I was just talking with Josh today about some of the issues one of our companies was having. That insight and that experience, I think, would make employees be a little bit more appreciative of what they're being able to be a part of as a team, as a whole. I
think people are scared to start businesses because where do you start? What do you do? Do you have to have some certain type of paperwork? Do you have to have a tax ID? There's so many things that go along with it that if you don't do a bunch of research, you don't know.
Well, you know what? We'll have to do a show in the next couple of weeks where we just talk about startup tips. And if you're listening to this show and you find yourself in that scenario, go to the website, thehookradio.com, connect with me, send me a message. I will personally give you the steps you need to make this dream come true, to at least give it a shot. You owe yourself that. And that's the third part of this reason why I think people should start a business is there would be much fewer people with regret. I've never heard somebody that started a business, even if they failed and they lost money, that were just, I completely regretted doing that. It's just never the case because you learn so much, you grow, you realize what potential is, you're more appreciative of your stable job than if you weren't successful. There's just a lot of things that come out of that. So if you find yourself in that situation, go to the website, connect with me. I will personally respond back to you and help give you the tips and direction you need to get going.
That's thehookradio.com.
Nice little chime. I love it. And then the last point there for these goal setting, I would love it if more people wrote books. I know that sounds kind of maybe off topic, but it is so powerful. I've been able to write 2 books now, Your Spot on the Mountain and The Brand Map, which is coming out hopefully within the next week. I think we've got everything worked out with Amazon, but we're really, really close. But this makes you a better conversationalist. It provides you a release of emotion. If you're harboring something inside you that you've been holding back for years, or an opinion or issues or a struggle that you went through, even if you don't share this book, get it down on paper, write it, express your feelings, get it out. And finally, writing a book teaches you so much about discipline. I was running across Texas, or was training to run across Texas when I wrote my first book, over 100 miles a week just in running, along with writing. The discipline that it took, I learned so much from that, and I'm able to translate that into my business in so many different ways.
We're going to have all these tips on the website, thehookradio.com. Some people call that discipline. Some people call that ADHD. Doing so much at one time.
Well, maybe there's a skill level to that, but yeah, it's all about using those 1,440 minutes to the best of your ability.
That's Jason Arsmont, the marketing maverick. I'm Josh Reno. Coming up next, we have our guest in studio, Tony Vallone. He will join us. It's on the way on The Hook. You're listening to The Hook, the first ever branding and marketing show on the radio. Anyway, I can say anywhere, right?
Maybe not anywhere, but at least in the city of Houston for
in the city of Houston.
Radio.
Okay. The first ever in the city of Houston. That's Jason Arsmont, the marketing maverick. My name is Josh Reno. And this conversation we were just having with our guest who's in studio, talking about eating being an art. I'm all about that. I've never heard that
thing.
before.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. Our guest today, in my opinion, really needs no introduction. The founder of probably one of the most iconic Houston restaurants, Tony's, as well as his new concept, Vallones. It is my pleasure to welcome Tony Vallone. Mr. Vallone, welcome to the show.
Tony, thank you.
Tony, got it. Here. All right. Well, let's kick it off. I know probably most people know you for Tony's, but your most recent concept is Vallones. Tell us a little bit about Vallones.
Well, we had an idea. We want to go out to the oil corridor into Memorial, and so we went out there with a really Americana-type restaurant, and it serving the finest beef available anywhere in Texas. It's all 55-day dry-aged prime.
Wow.
But more than just steak, this restaurant is true Americana because they're homemade pastas, no more than 2 day out of water fish, all butchered in-house. I'm a nut about freshness and cleanliness. It's a beautiful restaurant, wonderful atmosphere. We have the Tex, which is a petite filet with 2 enchiladas. We have a chicken fried steak. There's something for everyone. That's
What's
what
this
we're calling
hamburger
it.
I heard about?
We're doing a Wagyu hamburger that's absolutely incredible with homemade buns made right in-house in our own bakery.
Josh is drooling.
I know.
So this is true Americana. It's a blend of my own Italian plus prime steaks, fresh fish, homemade pasta. I mean, this restaurant has it all. It's very pretty. It has a 2-story, all glassed-in wine cellar.
Wow.
Yet it's a very casual restaurant with a large fireplace. The service is outstanding, but very friendly. We have complimentary parking. You just go there and they take care of you. It's Memorial's home away from home.
Yeah.
It's
such a hot spot right now. I mean,
it is. And it's
everything's
just
booming right
booming
there.
out there. Even though right now the oil industry is somewhat down, our city, we're so lucky to be in Houston because our city, what we consider down, is up for most cities.
Yep.
And it's still growing like crazy out there. Memorial City and all that area is just wonderful. And this restaurant we're doing, it's just got a lot of aspects to it. Very well priced, very large wine list.
Okay.
We keep everything most in a moderately priced structure, so it's for everyone.
Yeah, no, it's an unbelievable place. If you guys are listening, you need to go check it out. It's right there at Memorial. You know, I think a lot of people know you for Tony's. And how long has it been now? It's been forever.
This, my 50th year.
50th year this year. That's
Golden
unbelievable.
anniversary.
So you've got to have some insight from a business standpoint. You've had to sustain so many ups and downs, and you know, I'm always curious to hear from somebody who's sustained a business for that long.
Well,
like, when did you know that you had a formula for success? When did you know that this thing was going to work?
Sometimes I still wonder about that.
The honesty, that's so true. I love it.
But you know, anytime you're in any large, vibrant city like Houston, there are ups and downs because we ebb and we flow. However, we're so diversified now that just the oil being down a little bit doesn't hurt us because we have so much going on. Largest medical center in the world, second largest port, number 1 exportations in the country.
Yep.
We have a workforce that leads the country, construction that leads the country. So there's so much going on that we're not getting hurt as much as others. However, with us, when the numbers aren't tremendous, then we think something's wrong.
Right.
But I knew when I opened on Post Oak in 1972, which pre-Galleria, I was on Sage Road before there was Galleria. I opened in 65, hence 50 years.
Wow.
Then we knew we were really taking off, and I tried to grow it. And you have to go with your market and the time, but the common denominator for whatever we do is quality and freshness.
Okay.
That knows no time. That knows no market. Quality and freshness is the common denominator for any good restaurant.
Now, I'm curious. Obviously, I wasn't around 50 years ago when you guys started, but so was the concept. I mean, I know of Tony's and even Vallones. I mean, it's a premium product. You know, maybe more so or not as much of a premium price. I mean, how were you able to capture that thought, or did it start that way?
What we've done is we're trying to. We have 3 restaurants really for 3 markets. Tony's is the upscaled. Wonderful dining, no more expensive than any steakhouse, even though people might think it is. It's not. Then we have our casual Ciambello, which is a nice, wonderful Neapolitan trattoria in the Galleria. That's wonderful food, the food I grew up on, and I'm a nut about. All the homemade, and all the pastas in all our restaurants are homemade. And then we did Vallones. And Vallones is this new concept that's doing very well. And again, true Americana. It's a blending of steakhouse, fish house, a little Italian, a little Southwestern. It's got everything. It's got a menu that changes constantly. It's very creative, but it's very homey.
Right, right. You know, I'm always just fascinated by this Houston economy, and we're still seeing a restaurant boom right now. I mean, what do you think it is that makes Houston? Is it just population? Is it economic success? But why do we have such a demand for?
We're the 4th largest city in the country. Within 3 years, we'll be the 3rd largest city in the country. We have, I'm told, in Greater Houston, almost 14,000 restaurants, second only to New York. This is a restaurant town. Food in Houston is quite good. We have wonderful ethnic diversity. Mm-hmm. We have quality. But anytime you go to a restaurant and you see it owned by an operator and operated by that owner, operator, you're probably in a good restaurant of any level. Because chains can only give you a certain level. It's all about the bottom line. They'll only get to a certain point, and that's it. It's cookie cutter.
Right.
You get an independent operator operating his restaurant, not just being the associate, but operating, actually
his
working.
Heart and soul in every dish, right?
You're in a good restaurant.
Right.
Because we care. We need that bottom line, but we're going to give you more for your money than anyone else will.
And so I guess Houston has a lot of those types. I mean, obviously we have some chains, but we have a lot of owner-operator.
We're a can-do city. entrepreneurial city, and we're a city of arts and opportunity. And eating is one of the arts, because in Houston we're so lucky. The arts are so strong here, and all 4 arts flourish independently here. We're the only city in the whole Southwest United States that can make that statement, by the way. But dining is also an art, and we can flow right along with that. We have a street festival out every 3 weeks or so here in Houston, all different types of ethnicity and arts and everything.
Odd. Yeah.
We don't have enough civic pride and publish this enough. I wish our media would get behind this more. This is such a wonderful city.
Well, maybe there's something that we could do on that, Josh. We need to be more progressive in talking about our street festivals and all the art and culture that we've got going on.
We should probably mention that at least once a show. What's happening the next week?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
We'll soon be starting construction on our 3rd Museum of Fine Arts. This one's going to be blockbuster. They all are wonderful, but one city with 3 museums of fine art. I mean, that's incredible.
Wow. Man, this city's so great. You know, Lance Gilliam was in the studio, I guess for our first show now, 5 weeks back, commercial real estate developer and broker. And he had mentioned to us that, man, if you can make it in Houston, Houston's like that new place. If you can make it in Houston, you can make it anywhere, especially in the restaurant business, right? As competitive as it is.
Very competitive.
Have you opened up restaurants outside of Houston? Do you have aspirations to do so?
No, I've never left Houston because I'm hands-on. I'm the old school. I keep my eye on everything. I won't even go to the Woodlands, only because it's in the Woodlands is wonderful, but it's only because it's too far for me to go to every day and back. I stay in our own area so I can watch everything. I love what I do. I feel I'm the best of my game right now, and and you have to be consistent in the restaurant business. It's so important. It's consistency.
Right. Yeah, people need to be able to come back once a year or once every other year and know that they're going to get the exact same experience.
Whether it's once a week, once a month, once a year, or once every 3 years, it doesn't matter. You have to be consistent and give you what you're looking for that moment, for that mood.
It's interesting. I'm sure we've all noticed, but there's just like this increase in like TV shows, like chef-related or restaurant-related TV shows. I always wondered, is that more from the demand, or is that a response to the boom in the restaurant industry, nationwide? Do you follow any of these restaurant or chef shows?
I don't, only because I'm at the restaurant so much.
Yeah, you're in the evenings, you're busy.
The answer to your question is both. Demand, because restaurant now has become very popular. Chefs have become very popular. Now, how you define a chef is another thing. I don't always agree with that. There are some very talented people that can cook very well for 8 or 12 people, but when you have to cook for 100 or 200, it's a different story.
Right. Because you guys do some catering too, right?
Oh yeah, we have a catering company, and we have 3 restaurants at the catering company.
Wow.
We do large and small affairs. We don't advertise, all by word of mouth. It does very, very well. We're better now than we've ever been with that. We're very diversified. We come to you, and we can do anything. And we do from 20 to 2,000. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
It's a good-sized company. We're very happy with the quality of our work. We approach it a little differently. Everything we do is personalized. So we try to capture what you want and give you the best we can. Being creative is very important. But again, if you're not consistent, creativity won't last.
Absolutely.
There's an old restaurant axiom that the finest food in the world will not carry bad service. But great service may carry an off night in the kitchen. So you've got to make sure you have both aspects.
Sure.
There are 3 major prongs to our business. And
listen up, listeners. Here we go.
It's product, finding the right product, very fresh, very high quality. Technique, knowing what to do with it. And then comes that third one, and that's your delivery, putting it all together and serving it to the eye appeal, to the appeal of the palate, and giving you harmony on the palate. Right. So when you eat with us at any of the restaurants, we should take you away from your problems and give you a little sanctuary for that hour or 2 hours.
I love the way that you just talk about food. It makes it sound so good. Tell us, our listeners, a little bit. So what's your story? Where did you start cooking? What's that background look like?
I've worked in restaurants since I was very young.
Okay.
Italian parents, needed to work. I've done nothing but work in restaurants since I was very young. That's all I know.
Okay. So did you come up with a family? Was cooking a big part of the family environment? I mean, maybe a traditional Italian house,
as in most immigrant families, very big part of the family. I worked in a restaurant. That's all I've ever done. So I'm a nut about precision, quality. I do most of my own importing, do a lot of importing from Italy. I'm in Italy twice a year, checking things out, have a lot of connections there over the years. And, of course, still have a lot of family there. So it's all about, again, if you've got to know what to do, get the product and then know what to do with it. People talk about farm-to-table freshness. I've been doing this for over 40 years. I have some guys that have been raising for me, and I also buy from local purveyors, because you want to buy the best product. Sometimes some small farm to table is not the best. Sometimes the purveyor has better. Sometimes the farmer has better. You got to have a combination of both. Know what you're buying.
Yep.
It's all in the buying. I won't buy any fish that we don't break down ourselves or that's more than 2 days out of water.
Wow. You know, it's so interesting talking with you. And earlier in the show, we were talking about successful people becoming complacent with their success. I mean, it's obvious that you've been keeping your foot on the pedal and continue to have this fire lit inside of you. Where would you say that passion, that fire? What is there anything you could put it on that's been able to keep you motivated and focused for 50 years now? This is just unbelievable.
I love what I do.
Yeah.
I think I'm the best in my game right now. We've got some wonderful people we work with. Our team is strong. It's all about quality and freshness. When you come to us, whatever category you're in, we're going to give you a lot of product and quality for your dollar, more than anyone else will give you, because we really care.
Yeah. You know, I love it. We talk about it so many times. Find something that you love doing, and the success and the money and everything else and the notoriety will come along with it.
Now you have to use your head and check out the demographics. Check out, make sure that the budget's going to be in place. The demographics are good. You're reaching the market that you're after.
Yeah.
But then we want to do more than that. We want to that's all just strictly the business end of it. We want to give you that personal, passionate side where we really deliver for you and you feel at home. I don't believe in snootiness. A snooty person in one of our restaurants won't last 2 days because I won't allow it. We are friendly, and that's what a restaurant should be. You come to us to get away from the turmoil.
Yeah.
Have a good, wonderful meal, whether it be a quick or a long meal.
Yep.
It's our place to make you feel at home.
That. You know, we talk about brands having to be an experience to be, exceptional and to last. And it's obvious that you've created an experience with every touch point.
We do a hamburger at Vallones. It's Wagyu beef. It's excellent quality. We make homemade buns. It is a hamburger done right. Believe it or not, it is a fine dining hamburger. And when you have it, you'll know just how good it is.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, I'm a burger guy, so I couldn't imagine. We're going to have to try that for sure.
This is my next date night, by the way, because it's right around the corner from my house. Yeah, so
I mean, be touting a hamburger. We do at lunch a chicken fried steak, because again, this is all Americana that is, I'll put up against anyone's. And right next to that will be a pasta bolognese with a meat sauce that I learned whenever I cooked in Bologna. So, I mean, these are things that it's just all Americana. It's a mix.
Right.
It's fun.
Yeah. No, that is a good time.
I'm willing to try every single thing.
Every single dish. I mean.
As you can tell, I've never missed a meal.
Well, Mr. Vallone, this is it's been a pleasure. You know, you're obviously wildly successful and recognized for your concepts, but in talking with you, there's no doubt that you're a very savvy business person as well, and I've really valued our time. We're going to have you come back on sometime and share some more of your success and maybe some horror stories that you've experienced, but such a treat. Really looking forward to coming out to the restaurant and checking out some of those dishes that we're hearing about.
Well, thank you for having me. Would love to see you soon. This has been fun.
We appreciate you listening this week to The Hook. You can always find us on thehookradio.com. We'll be back next week. For Jason Arsmod, I'm Josh Reno with The Hook.